Willard and Dibs. It is brought to you by Fremont Bank, full service banking, no compromises, and we're joined by Keith McPherson, night host at WFAN in New York, who's been on the Aaron Judge story for many, many years, certainly all of this year. So, Keith, welcome to the show. Did you read that? Because I certainly did, and based on other conversations I've had, that there are still hurt feelings between Aaron Judge and Brian Cashman.
Hey, good morning, guys. I didn't really take it as hurt feelings. I think it's just Judge at the end of a frustrating postseason being asked that question again, and he's answered it already, and he's been very clear about, hey, I've wanted to be here. We couldn't get anything done before spring training. I bet on myself. I had the best season imaginable, and now I'm a free agent. We'll see what happens.
What do you think that the fan base wants in terms of the way they treated him toward the end of the postseason run? Obviously not successful for the team or the individual. Where's the fan base right now in terms of Aaron Judge?
I would say 90% of the fan base wants Judge back. But, of course, you're going to have that 10% that says, hey, he went quiet in the postseason. Hey, what did he do for us in October? Where was the guy that carried the team in the regular season when we needed him in the ALCS? 90% of the fans, though, understand that this is Aaron Judge's team. This team is nothing without 9-9. He's the face of baseball. He's the face of the franchise. And if the Yankees don't re-sign him, just add that to all the other failures from the last few years.
Keith McPherson, WFAN. Give it to us right now, just a percentage chance that he stays a Yankee.
75% chance.
Okay.
I think it's the Yankees. So the Yankees right now should be talking to his people, right? The season isn't over. He's technically a free agent after the World Series. The Yankees should be doing everything in their power to wine and dine this guy, to show him the value of staying with the New York Yankees. And I'm sure he already knows, but I feel like the Yankees can pull a couple, rabbits out of the hat, some more tricks out of their sleeve to say, hey, this is why, you're our guy. We are going to pay you. But I'll say this. I leave that 25% there, maybe, 5% for the Angels, maybe 10% for the Dodgers, maybe another 5% for the Giants, maybe another 5% for the Mets. He's entering free agency, right? So it's going to be the type of thing where if the Yankees don't do right by him, if they don't outbid other teams, they will not win the Aaron Judge sweepstakes.
Where'd you come up with the Angels on that list, Keith?
Well, the Angels, West Coast, they always are throwing money at guys. They have done it in the past. I never count them out. They were up there bidding for Garrett Cole, and the Yankees outbid them for Cole services. I think they might be a dark horse. You never know. When we get into these conversations, winter meetings, I hope it doesn't get there. I just look at the teams with money that have a history of doing it. The Dodgers, they have a history of doing it. The Angels, they have a history of doing it. The Mets now don't have a history of doing it, but they have a recent history of doing it. And, of course, we know the San Francisco Giants have been preparing for this for the last couple of years. I think they've been thinking of it for some time.
And the team that he admired and watched as a young boy would be the Giants, too. Knowing Aaron Judge as well as you do, obviously money is the number one prevailing factor in all of these free agency bids. But what's second? Is it the feeling he has for the New York fans? And is that feeling mixed after the treatment he got in the postseason?
So I think Aaron Judge being here his whole career, being well received by the fans, the feeling that he gets out there in right field with the fans pre-game, during the game, and after. The fans are hard here in New York. They're hard on everyone. But I think that he knows that, and I think he knows that the fan base is passionate. What Judge speaks about is winning a championship. He's a winner. He wants to win. And with the Yankees getting swept out of the ALCS, and this being the third time in Judge's career that he's made it to the ALCS and been defeated by the same team, I wonder if that is something that is going to turn him off, right? My ideal situation was for him to win a World Series this year. He talks so much about a championship, bringing a championship back to New York, winning the World Series, because that's the standard for the New York Yankees. At least it was. So I feel like Judge is going to want to be somewhere that he also feels like he can win a ring. I think he's got a good opportunity to potentially do that in New York if they make some other changes. Obviously, the Dodgers are in it every other year. You never know. But I think it's not so much about the fans. He understands New York fans and they're passionate and their emotion. It's about winning. I think obviously money is the number one thing, right? He's going to go to the highest bidder most likely because he's waited this long for his big payday, and then he bet on himself and he, raised raised that number. I don't even know what it's going to be, honestly. He raised the number on himself a lot this year, but I think it's a combination of getting what he's worth and being on a team where he thinks he can win a championship.
Keith McPherson, WFAN, with us here, talking about the Aaron Judge free agency on Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Keith, I think whenever we talk about fans, I'd be very surprised if someone is making an almost $500 million decision based on some people with hats out in right field, right? Like, to me, this goes right. This goes back to the beginning of this year. Take us through what happened between Judge and the Yankees, and was there some iciness in that relationship?
Yeah. I remember driving to the stadium opening day and listening to WFAN, and it kind of shocked all of us. Tiki and Tierney were on, and they were at the stadium live, and I don't know why the Yankees thought it was smart to put the information out there about what they offered Judge and him turning it down about an hour before he went on the field. I think that rubbed him the wrong way. It certainly rubbed me the wrong way as a fan that they weren't more buttoned up and private about that. And I think from that point was when Judge was like, okay, this is done. We didn't get it done, and I'm going to prove it on the field every single day. I'm going to lock in and focus on baseball, and we'll see where you guys are at. But the price is not yesterday's price anymore. The price has gone up. So, yeah, of course. And with Brian Cashman, he's got a history of doing this with some of our favorite Yankees, with Bernie Williams, with Derek Jeter. I wouldn't even say Robinson Cano because he wasn't a favorite, and you saw what happened to him after he left New York. But the Yankees kind of have in their head a price that they think is the right price, and then they think that being a New York Yankee adds some, extra value to that. So they're not always ready to move from that price. And I think Judge understands he is the guy. He is the best player on the team. He is the face of the franchise. They didn't do right by him with that first offer, but it's negotiations, right? They just threw that number out there knowing that they would potentially have to come up. Now they're going to have to come up a lot, and if they don't, I don't think Judge and his camp will have the patience to play around with the Yankees. We'll see what happens real soon.
7 years, 213.5, and he said no, and I think we all would scoff at such a lowball offer. But Keith, where do you think that number is now? Are we at 7 years and $300 million? Where do you think it sits?
I think he wants to sign a deal. He's 30 going on 31. I think he wants to sign a deal for 8 years, maybe even 9 years. I don't think 7 years is where he's at. And, you got to get creative with how you structure this contract. People are saying he's getting $40 million a year. I can understand that. But for 8-9 years, that's a lot of money. And you got to kind of think about the back end of the contract. And the Yankees famously have guys that are over 35 under contract making a lot of money that don't perform. I mean, they have Josh Donaldson this year, who they took on $21 million, and look what you got out of that. And they ate A-Rod's money, and we've seen the deals with Ellsbury and guys in the past. So with Aaron Judge, they're going to try and make a smart deal, but they have to do right by him. I think it's 8 years is the minimum. I don't think he's signing a 7-year contract. I think he wants an 8-year deal from age 31 to 39, and I think he's going to be around $40 million a year. That's a lot of money. I don't know. I can't call it.
All right, Keith. Well, when he signs with the Giants, we'll have you back on again so you can tell us more about what we should expect.
You got to worry about your division. The Dodgers are the ones everyone's talking about today and last night, right? The Dodgers are going to move Mookie Betts to second.
Yeah.
Oh, right. We saw the Freddie Freeman saga last year and how that played out. Freddie clearly wanted to sign and stay in Atlanta after winning a World Series. It's going to be a little different for Judge. He didn't win the World Series. I think he wants to stay, but if they mess around with the wordage or the price or whatever, that'll be the Giants' chance to swoop in. So you guys play it close. I think if the Yankees mess it up and it moves on to the Dodgers or the Giants just have to outbid the Dodgers, and maybe, you'll have Aaron Judge opening day in Yankee Stadium wearing that orange and black.
Oh, gosh, please keep speaking it into existence. That would be fantastic. But, yeah, no, somebody wrote an article about the Dodgers yesterday, which means Aaron's agents are doing a real good job. Good news for the Giants. If they sign Aaron, they don't have to move anybody anywhere because they don't have any good players. So it's all good.
And, hey, do not forget that this guy grew up watching the team.
Yeah.
And he's had so many interviews this year where, he mentioned, what do you do after the game, Aaron? He says after Yankees games, he goes home and watches the Giants games. He watches West Coast baseball. That's a guy that still has that little boy attachment to the team and to the game, and he sees it through that lens. So if there's anywhere that he wants to be outside of New York, it's San Francisco, and this is going to be an interesting pursuit of Aaron Judge here.
Keith, great to have you, man. Great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. No problem. Talk to you again soon.
Thanks,
Absolutely,
Keith.
yeah. That's Keith
March
McPherson,
30th,
WFAN.
Giants at Yankees.